Hey, security peeps, we are live with another edition of Breaking into Cybersecurity, and this is the Leadership Series. I am Renee Small, cybersecurity super recruiter, helping awesome leaders hire great talent. I'm here with two awesome people. First, my co-host, Chris Foulon. Say hi to everybody, Chris.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining.
And our special guest for today, who I loved her to pieces the first time I heard her speak, Christy Rutherford. Say hi to everybody, Christy.
Hey, y'all. My country voice. I just went real country on y'all.
So Christy is a guru. I mean, this woman, or some of her accomplishments, and then she'll get into it on her own. First and foremost, through her company, she has been helping 8 women so far earn $1.7 million in raises since June of 2020. So in the middle of a pandemic, Christy has been helping these awesome, amazing women pretty much double their salaries, which is unbelievable. She has over 20 years of leadership experience. She was the 13th African-American woman to achieve the rank of commander in the U.S. Coast Guard. Christy, just run down all your accomplishments real quick so we can get to the good stuff.
You know, Renee, I'm just a unicorn rider and a general hustler. That's one. 2, we could talk about the education piece, but what I've really mastered is office politics, psychological mind games, and self-care. So a lot of times it's just teaching women is not about how to ask for the raise, but what's stopping them from asking for what they deserve. That's really what I do.
Excellent. Excellent. So we are going to just jump right in. And I just want to understand how it is that you work and what you do and how these women end up how were you able to do that in the middle of a pandemic?
So I spent a considerable amount of time in the Coast Guard. And so coaching and mentoring was a part of what I did. I didn't know that coaching was a thing. I went to a conference in 2006 and this lady was talking about coaching. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what I do. Like, wait, 1, that there's something for it. 2, I can get paid for it. And 3, why am I doing this for free if people are actually getting paid for it? So seeing people not necessarily for how they see themselves, Renee. So if I talk to you, I don't see you for who you are. I see you for who you are living in your full potential, which made me very successful as a leader, because if you're given 10%, how am I going to now motivate you to give me 120? Because as a team, my goal is to win at all times. So I need to be able to influence my people and unlock them to be able to have them live in their fullest potential. So now we can go and set the national standards that I wanted to in my career. So after transitioning out of my career, I didn't know, I didn't know that it was a marketable skill on office politics, because that's my natural. And what I've learned through I would say over the course of 5 or 6 years is women are having completely different conversations than men. So a lot of times when I post, I say I'm talking to women, but men are like, well, Christy, you're talking to us too. But this is the problem. And this is what I realized this morning, Renee. Men are expected to have conversations that they deserve a higher salary. Men are having common conversations about what it takes to get to the next level. Women are not. We're not having these conversations that we can double our income. We're not having these conversations that we can go from 150 to 300 or 200 to 400 and how to make it happen. These are common conversations with men. So yes, everything that I say applies to men, but women simply aren't having the conversations. Is women are entering in a pink recession. Women are going to lose. Oh my God, Black women are especially going to lose in this pandemic. So I want to be able to change the narrative to say, no, you choose your fate. You choose what you do. And if you can believe me when I say your salary is well below what you should be making right now, if we can touch and agree on that, we can go get this money.
As Patrick said, I need that back. Yes, Patrick, we all do. Go ahead, Chris.
Asking from, I'll just say it bluntly, from a male white guy perspective, what can we do to help enable those conversations to happen more? And like, what are some of the root causes for those conversations not happening?
Oh, I love this question. a lot of times women don't think they deserve it. It starts in childhood. Long before women even get in the workplace, somebody told a woman, because we're taught to be nice girls. Women are taught to be people pleasers. And this is going to be shocking to you. One woman that I talked to, and I did an interview with a guy a couple of weeks ago, a lot of women don't ask for raises because they don't want their white male bosses to get mad at them. And they want to be liked. So they don't even ask. So women, we are conditioned to be people pleasers at a very young age. My niece has a doll that she carries around. She's 3. And go get your baby, care for your baby. She has a kitchen set, a cooking set. She has a mop and a broom. And I'm like, why this baby, like the baby is through. Why is a mop and a broom and a stove a toy for a girl? So when she cooks to please us. We're being conditioned at a very young age to be people pleasers and to be liked. So we carry that behavior over into the workplace, and you won't ask for a raise. I've talked to so many women who complain all day, and I mean all day, feverishly and passionately about how the man is keeping them down. And I say, but did you ask though? Well, no. So, and then the second part is women don't ask for what they want. And I tell women all the time, if I have 3 white men, because the Coast Guard is 95% white male. So most of the people who work for me were white men. If I have 3 white guys who are hungry, and my guys are champions, and they want to go get it, and I have 1 passive sister in the corner. I mean, even as a Black woman, I'm like, what's wrong with you? Because I'm busy. I'm a little crazy myself because I'm a leader. I don't want to. How much work am I going to have to do to resuscitate you when I got 3 men who are ready to go get it? So we're always waiting for somebody to come and save us. And my goal is to teach women how to save themselves. But for you, it's asking women, what are your 5-year goals? Where do you see yourself in the next 2 years? That's what leaders can do to let women know that it's okay to have that conversation with you, because a lot of women think that if they have that conversation with you, that they're not going to be liked and they're going to get fired.
That is
so be proactive about it. Okay.
So being proactive, that is fascinating information. Christy, it's funny that you say that about the kitchen and whatnot, because I have 2 boys and a girl, and the girl, the 2 boys, they had kitchens and stuff too, and the girl plays with cars and everything. But what was funny is this past Christmas, I was looking for my daughter loves Minnie Mouse. Like, she's a Minnie Mouse fanatic right now. And so we ended up, and she loves playing in water. And so it ended up being like this little kitchen, like a little mini sink. And when it actually came, like, I purchased it or whatever, but when it came, I was like, wait a minute, why is this a sink with dishes? And I was like, and I said it out loud. My husband laughed. I was like, no, we need the boys playing in the sink with dishes, with pink dishes and stuff like that. So
my son has one of those kitchens, and he loves it. He has the broom, he has the mop, and he loves it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think to Christy's point, that the girls kind of stay in that mode, and the boys eventually, like my boys, they're gamers, yeah. They do all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. So I want to shout out some people. We always shout our people out on the live stream, folks that come all the time. Good morning. Ben is here. Craig is here. Some awesome people. And Craig, I think, is in the UK. Yes. Good afternoon, all from South Africa. I don't even know who that is, which is awesome. And Patrick, who is actively looking for work. So Patrick, I know this is a good one for you today, and he's looking to get the bag, and me too. So Christy, you talked about women and their struggles and what they, why they're in a situation they're in. What about the men? Because again, we're in cybersecurity, mostly male-dominated industry. So, most of our viewers are men. So I'm really curious to learn about, what you see from a men's perspective as well.
I think for men in tech, it depends, right? It depends on your personality type. So now we go into the personality type of the tech guys. That is not a stereotype, is actually a personality preference, which actually leads you to the career path that you've chosen. You can be a a creative mind, but a very, very detail oriented mind. And so there is a personality test that I love. It's called Bank. Bank people, we want our money. Like, and we're not afraid to ask for it. We talk fast, walk fast, we drive fast cars, we wear fancy clothes, we do all these things. And we're very irrational. We're irrational. Like, so when I tell a woman you should be asking for 450 right now and she's at 175, they're like, where did you get that number from? I made it up. But let's go get it. And they get it. Does that make sense? Like, there is no data. There are no calculations. There is no, well, your master's degree is valued as such and such. And then your experience, no, I made it up. But if you can agree with me, let's go get it. So a lot of times I would say with men in this world, this is just a fact to consider. If you're focused on the data and being rational, at a certain point in leadership, is not about rationality, and you need somebody outside of yourself to pull you out of the data to be able to look at yourself from a macro level vision. Does that make sense? And be able to explain what you do and not be so far in the weeds and the data. So it's almost like look up and have somebody tell you externally, what are the 5 things that you're really good at? And because you can't see yourself if you're in a hole, especially if you are unemployed and now you're just, you can't see how you are. And I did it. So I sent the people who used to work for me a survey and I said, what made me great as a leader? Because I knew I was a phenomenal leader, but I am me. So I sent out a survey and I said, what do I do differently than everybody else that you work for? And they actually responded. I got about 20 responses and there were 5 common themes among what everybody said. And that's what I started to lead with. So at a certain point, Renee and Chris, we have to figure out what our superpower is. And I think for people who are data oriented and very, very detail oriented, and their decisions are made on rational data, at a certain point in leadership and asking for a raise is not rational. Is what you feel that you deserve. And that's uncommon for people who are rational.
I love that superpower comment. That's actually a common theme. I'm in another group, and one of the things that we're doing for the next generation coming up is we're sitting and we're defining what our superpower is so that we can focus on our superpower to help us get to that next level within our career. And I think that's so critical to discover what that theme is within yourself and build out that storyline, because once you realize that you have that superpower, you can empower it even more. And I think in working with several of the women in the group, that's one of the areas that they're so self-conscious that they don't think that they have a superpower. And when you mention, no, but you're really good in this, you're really good in that, and then they start to see that theme, and once they realize that they have that superpower, they just blow up from there.
Exactly.
So it would be about owning it. It's kind of like taking it and owning that space.
Well, I think it's about becoming aware that you have something of value first. You have women who have been working for years. And then so it's a cycle. It's a cycle, Renee and Chris. Like, and this goes for men too. If you've been working for a long time and you know that you're underpaid, but you're very valuable to your organization because they tell you, but they're not paying you, it creates underlying resentment and frustration. So there's like a little burn that's in the bottom that's setting you on fire. And so you start to spiral after around and you start to go in circles. So it's very important to have people who, one, do not agree with the limited vision that you have of yourself. I say, if you found somebody to agree with if you find a friend that agrees with the limited perspective that you have of yourself, you have found your greatest enemy. If you have people, when you say, I can't get ahead, and she say, oh girl, I understand, I can't do it either. Or, a man on the tech side that says, I can't figure out my value. And he's like, me either. What are we going to do? Why can't we find that? You have found your greatest enemy. Because you need somebody to say, no, that's not true. Let me tell you what your greatest assets are. Let me tell you how I appreciate you. Let me tell you this perspective that I see of you. So we need people that will challenge us and call us out on our BS when we have a limited perspective of who we are, because times are hard. I've been there, done that. Like when I left my career, I ran into a wall doing 150 miles an hour and exploded in 1,000 pieces and laid on the ground for 3.5 years wondering, why did you do that? That was so dumb. So I'm so passionate about what I do, because I burned. And when people talk about burnout, people make it seem like, oh my God, I burned out. Like there's this thing that we rode on a magic carpet and we just disintegrated slowly. No, I ran into a wall doing 150 miles an hour. So I'm completely oblivious of, I can say I'm great and I have a wall. I could decorate. I have enough awards to decorate the Rockefeller Christmas tree. Let's be clear. But in that state of brokenness, and now I don't have any money and I'm too crazy to get a job. I am psychologically unemployable. I'm too crazy to get a job. And there were people that I talked to that agreed with me, but there were some of my friends that say, Christy, what's wrong with you? Let me remind you of who you are. Let me remind you and tell you who you are, because you can't see yourself right now. And in these challenging times, challenging for some, not challenging for all, we need people to remind us of the great qualities that we have and not believe us when we say that we can't get ahead.
Right.
And I think that's similar to the statement, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Because if everyone else is at your level and not pushing you to be greater, you're in the wrong place.
Yep. Corey said, Christy is preaching. That's right.
I'm a prosperity preacher. I'm a prosperity preacher for real. I love it.
Well, let's talk about some of those results that we talked about in the beginning, just to show people that we can make it happen during this pandemic. What are some of the results that you've gotten for those that you've been helping?
Yeah, we're actually, as of last night, we're at $1.7 million in raises since June 2020. 7 women have doubled their incomes. I have I have male clients as well. And so one of my clients, actually, he went into a job and we had to set it up. Like when you go into a new job, and we could talk about that if y'all want to, but you got to set the chessboard. And so after 9 months, he was promoted to vice president in a new job with a $75,000 raise. And so it's is not as much about how the world is going. How are we going to allow people who don't know us to condemn us and to damn us with data to say women are going to lose and Black women are going to lose? I don't believe that, because you're not talking to me. So if somebody says, hey, stupid, and you turn around, you just chose to turn around. I'm not turning around if you call somebody stupid, because I know you're not talking to me. So if you say men are going to lose, tech men are especially going to lose, Black women are going to lose, you're not talking to me. You choose whether or not you believe what the data says. How are you going to allow somebody to tell you that you're going to lose, or that you're not going to make it, or that you're going to be, unemployed for the next 12 months? You choose what you agree to. And that is about having a strong vision. So when I came into 2020, I said, I'm gonna crush it this year, but I had like 8 coaches. I came into 2020 with so much momentum. There was no way I was going to lose. And so that momentum got poured into my clients. And I would say my belief got strengthened when I was in my brother's house. Because how did I make it out? I had to believe that I was going to make it out. So being able to transfer some of that energy to my clients, and y'all see that I'm not the most fairy, soft-spoken, pansy coach who celebrates you. And so a lot of times when my clients get caught in, and it's a tough spot when you now have to own your value. Typically what happens to women when they're negotiating is that they shrink back and they start to remember all the times that they've lost. And what if they don't like me? And what if they say no? But then they have a louder voice in their head, i.e. Christy Rutherford, because they know they got to come back and report to me. What did you ask for? Because, I'm a little crazy. Just a little bit. But they would rather ask for it than to know to come back to me and say, I asked for 325 when you should have been asking for 525. So they just like 525, like they just get it out. And then typically the people are like, okay. And then the belief comes at a whole different level. So it's getting clear on what you're going to ask for and just ask for it.
I was going to bring up the point about the inner belief, because there's this, within yourself, like, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve this, or whatever it is. And then, like you said, like it's just so shocking to hear sometimes, like, you're making 150 and I'm going to ask for 350. I remember, it's so funny that you made this point. I had a guy in a recruiting, in one of my projects, and I was doing this recruiting project, and the manager told me, you know, this is the range, and I told the guy this is the range, and the guy was making a lot less, and I said, well, this is the range, you know, like, okay, you're making 95. Well, the range is this, he said, and the leader was real cool. He said, look, they're going to spend the money anyway, you know, like, this is the range. So this guy went in, and he didn't want, he was at 95, I think, and we told him like 140 or whatever the number was, and he was worth it, and they wanted to hire him at that, and the hiring manager said, this is what, you know, hey, this is what to ask for. And he went back around and he asked for something less, and I was just like, why would you do that? I'm telling you, this is what the number is. And he hemmed and hawed, and I was just like, you could have taken the 140 and if you want to keep 95, give me the other 45. What is going on here? But it's something within. Christy, help me, because I couldn't figure it out. I was like, why would he do that?
It's all within. So what is your relationship with money? Because a lot of times people will self-sabotage. Do you have a healthy relationship with money? And then the challenge is, a lot of minorities get mad at white men and be like, you feel entitled. And I'm like, so, you know, I'm writing a post I wrote it yesterday about the entitlement. I'm like, so they think that they deserve money and deserve to be wealthy, and you're condemning them for it because you think you deserve to be broken on the bottom. Like, what is the problem? Like, we all have the inherent right to be rich, but what is the programming that you were taught? And yeah, we had some challenges in our childhood, but when you become an adult, you have to make a conscious decision that I have to be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. We have to reprogram ourselves. I did it. I used to think that making $130,000 a month was a lot of money. I mean, not a month, $130,000 a year was a lot of money, until I started hanging around these network marketing people who were knocking out $300,000 a month. I was like, so 130 ain't a good, huh? Right? a pension of $40,000 a month. I mean, you know, because that's what we're programmed in the military. That's it. You're going to get a pension of $40,000, $50,000 a year. And I mean, people that's making $1.2 million a month. And I'm like, so there's another level. And so let's have these next level conversations. And so a lot of times people will self-sabotage because it all starts from within, of what they don't think that they deserve. Even if you tell them, Renee, they still gonna self-sabotage. And I was talking to one of your followers last week. You tagged me in a post. And so we're talking about it. Sometimes when you come in too cheap, I remember a couple of years ago, I was talking to this lady, and she was going to be worth $26 million that year. She was going to make $26 million. And so she was like, Christy, I want to work with you. How much? And I was like, $3,000. I don't charge that now, but I was like, $3,000. And she was like this. Like, what's wrong with you? She looked at me like I stank. I promise you. And I was sitting there like, so, and then at the time, I just started working with a business coach because I was on my own until I had to get enough money to make this business. I said, I doubled my prices immediately. But the problem is, Renee and Chris, is her company paid a coach $40,000 to coach 4 people, and that person did nothing. So here I am talking about how great I am and all these results that I get, and I'm only charging 3. So it's almost like if there's a lobster that for $200 at the restaurant, and then there's another one for 10. If you go too cheap, people be like, what's wrong with the $10 lobster? You know, was that grown in a lab or something? I want the $200 one. So you have to be able at a certain time, and especially if you're senior, especially if you have all of these things that make you great. We talked about the superpower, but if you have all this experience, don't be afraid to put you could consider irrational price tag on it, because some people are making it.
So let's talk about this. You mentioned this a couple of times now. You're a coach that has several coaches. Let's talk about the value that it has to have different types of coaches for different reasons, and how that was so instrumental in growing your own success.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've always like, even in the Coast Guard, I had 13 mentors, and people are like, that's a lot. And no, I had 13 people, influencers and mentors and sponsors, but I was mentoring 70 people. So, and there was still an imbalance in that. But now, last year I had 8 coaches, and now it's January, whatever it is. I've been coached 6 times by 4 different people since January 1st. I'm trying to kill the game. I'm crushing it over here. But I sent one of my clients a text when we were talking about her salary going from 200 to 525, and she ended up accepting 475. And so she thought that, making $200,000 a year was a lot of money. And she's like, but these are all the people that I hung around. But I sent her a text of my coach harassing me of why I haven't made $4 million this year. And I'm just like, and I mean, harassing. Do you hear me? Just like I harass my clients, I need somebody to push me at that same level, because if I have somebody pushing me to make $4 million, of course I can harass you to make 400,000. It's nothing to me. So to have people to be able to see something greater in you, and then, it's the same intensity. And I tell them, I don't really like you all the time, because you make me uncomfortable and you squeeze me and you give me a headache. And he says, I don't care. But that's how I talk to my clients. And then I have a marketing coach, because what's the point of being the greatest coach in the world? This was last year. I hired this marketing guy, which is how I've been in the Bahamas since last March. I came to the Bahamas last March, and I went to his event right before I got here, and I wanted some Air Max and some summer clothes before I came. And after I went to this guy's thing, I was like, I need that. So I had invested in a coach, came down here in some Bobos and jeans, because I didn't have any summer clothes. I was like, well, you're just gonna be hot. And I invested in that marketing coach. And so he taught me how to scale my business and how to actually talk to my target market. So most of the clients that I have, they're the same type of these women. And they're like, why are we all the same? It's because I'm only talking to one specific group of people. And then I had a PR coach, and I had a marketing. I did some coaching with a lady that talked about PR. And then I have 2 spiritual coaches. So it's all about having somebody who can see a greater version of who you are. And I'll say this, and then we'll go to the next question, Chris. But if I have to tell you where I want to be and I'm leading the way, you have the wrong coach. You need somebody to say something to you. They can see where you are and where you should be, and they think that the middle is easy, but they're not lying. But if there's incremental change where you say, I'm here, and I had a call with one of my clients like yesterday. I said, look, I'm aware that you like to be the boss and that you love being in charge, but I'm in charge in this conversation. Let me take you to where I see that you should be, not where you think you should be, because where you think you should be is incremental, and I want to take you here. So having those people who have the greater vision, and they're almost frustrated that you aren't where you're supposed to be. And that's the difference between the coach that can get you there, because they're like, what are you talking about? That's when I hired my first coach. You're like, well, who is your coach? What are you talking about? You've written like 5 ebooks and you're broke and you don't have any money. And the program that's now, whatever, thousands of dollars used to be $500. Just like that cheap lobster. I was begging people to go through it. Please, it's only $500. I want to prove my point. I know I can help you. Please let me help you. It's only $500. Now I'm like, give me my money. We can break that up in some easy payments, but it's not $500 anymore. Right? So that's the difference in the coaching. Yeah, it's to have other people who, again, don't agree with you. But the difference in some of these executive coaches that organizations hire for their team is that the coach that's hired by the organization is doing what's best for the organization. And they're leading you to polish up the facade that you already created, because we're imposters in the organization where you're shining, or you're polishing this facade of the leader that you are, which is straight organization. But the person that's in trouble is the 10-year-old who was told that they won't be anybody, and they believe that they don't get ahead, that they can't get ahead. And even Renee, you talked about that guy where the cap is 140. What's stopping you from asking for 140? That's what I do. Let's talk about that, because that's the real problem. And that's how these women catapult. I don't do anything. Well, I would say after yesterday, I'm like this. Okay, there is some magic in it. But what I really do is a lot of these women are already worth 400. You're just getting paid 185 because you don't know how to get to the 400. So let's do some work so you can ask for what you already are that you can't see yet.
Christy, I knew you were going to bring the heat. Like I said, when you came on, when I met you, when I listened to Christy, I'm like, she has got to come on this show. So let me show you some of the comments coming in, because the people are like, Christy. Okay, so comments here. Corey earlier said Christy is preaching. Patrick has like that meme going on. Timothy says awesome amount of raises, all those raises. Wow. Carmen wants to know, when you were given ranges, then would you recommend for the highest? When you're given a salary, when a person is given a salary range, I think that's the question. You're muted. Christy, you're muted.
Okay, so yeah, I don't say, well, I think we can go between 225 and 275. I say 325.
The number, boom.
Let's hit you with the number. So when you ask for it, then you see what they say. So this is where women get it twisted in negotiations. I took 3 negotiations. I'm taking my glasses off. I like to be cute, but I can't see any of the comments. Be like, what are y'all saying? But I took 3
glasses. What's wrong with
right? I can't see anything. I know they talking about me though. They saying something good. I can't see any of it. But I'm
gonna call them out because this is audio and video, so we call out all the comments. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I took 3 negotiations classes at Harvard, and a lot of times when it comes to women and asking for what we want, the negotiations, the last one was called Playing the Game. It was so good. And so if you say, if you're top, if you want, let's say 375 and you ask for 375, then they're going to bring you down because they're going to say something like 300 and you got to meet in the middle. So if you want 375, say 425, well, along with some other things. So one of my clients, we doubled her income. They brought over 5 people from her team, and she gets to work from home indefinitely, crushing it, killing it. But it's a relationship. We have to build this trust and this relationship, and so we're talking about. I think we're about 3 weeks into this negotiation, and she's like, "Chris, my nerves are all over the place. Like my nerves are just shot because it's taking a long time." And I'm like, "But y'all have to get to know each other. We have to date." Like one of my coaches said, "You can't come over here, hit it, and quit it. You got to date me. You have to get to know me. You have to court me." So we're so unsure and we're so afraid to lose the job and lose the job offer that we clamp down and we concede very, very early, as opposed to having the conversations and you're negotiating with men, and men are okay. They want you. Men pursue women that they want. Organizations will pursue people that they really want. And if you can own your value and own that you're top talent and that, you know what, you can pick me here, but I can also go over here. So I like you, Jeff, but you're not the only person that wants me in these streets. I'm very cute, and I'm being perused and I'm being courted by many. What are you gonna give me? So yeah.
So true. I mean, I say that all the time. Like, you guys have no idea when you get to the point of an offer, how much power you have as a candidate. Like, nobody wants to go back out. And as a recruiter, as a hiring manager, like if it took 6 months to find the right person and you're the person, they're going to move mountains to get you in that door. So I'll tell people, and it's usually these little bits of money, and I'm like, go ask for it. Go. If I was
asking for severance packages, like I'm like, I want a severance. If I've been here for less than a year, you got to pay me 18 months when I leave. If I'm here for over a year, then I want a 3-year severance. Like, we crushing it. We asking for everything. And this is foreign for women. And I don't know if men are asking for it at this level as well. One of my clients went from an organization we work with. And so the goal, and I would say at this level, and this is for, men and women, is when you're in an organization, how are you being known industry wide? Because if, Renee, you're a senior leader, Chris is a rock star. So let's talk about what senior people should be doing in this moment. You should be having a show on LinkedIn Live to be able to build your global awareness, right? You should have, you can right now on Medium, and you can do writing on LinkedIn. You should be more visible to other people in your industry to build that network. So people will call you and be like, how much? So I had a guy who was in an organization. We started to have him go to events to start to strategically make connections. And then he ended up getting a job offer to work for the second wealthiest man in China as the CEO of hotels. And he was the only non-Cantonese Chinese in the whole company. Like, he was Greek. And that door magically opened for him when he built his industry-wide reputation. So I think that as everybody's working right now, and especially in this pandemic, it's not about jumping on Clubhouse where everybody's talking. Girl, they talking forever. But it's like, what, and again, it's not about doing 20 things. What's the one move that you can make that's going to move your needle forward significantly, and be patient about it, but be very strategic about it. Don't just do a lot of stuff just to be doing it. People want a podcast. I'm like, for what? Podcasts are a lot of work. Renee, thank you. And Chris, this is people don't understand. This is a lot of work.
They really
for an hour every week. It's a lot.
Chris and I literally got off a conversation right before this one, talking about the level of work that goes into this stuff. So you are absolutely right. Okay, more comments. I want to bring the more and more comments from the folks here. I don't know who this is, but they said tuned in. Oh, this is Nathan Hall. Tuned in, Renee Small, loving it so far. This is so important for people to hear. Mahfouz is here. He says, yo, Christy is on another wavelength to most of humanity right now. And he says, and I say, quote, where do I sign up for that kind of energy? Dang. So Christy is bringing the heat. Chris Evans wants to know, if you're in a role already, is there a best time to ask the question about like getting a promotion and salary, stuff like that? That's what I think is.
Yeah, it's cheaper to keep you. It's cheaper to keep her. There's a song. It's cheaper to keep you. So is there, the best time to ask questions? I've been having these conversations. I want to address, somebody just asked about the person who mentions the number first. So I did write that down. So it was Bruce.
Yeah, I'm going to get down to them.
Okay. So if you're in, so I was talking to a couple of people this week and they were like, yeah, we were having the conversation about promotion and we're in here talking about our performance reviews. Right. And so I said, okay, so you're having the promotion conversation. What are you going to ask for? They were like, what? They were like, wait, you said that you're talking about your performance review to talk about the things that you've done in a promotion and you don't have a number? No, I was just, so what are you talking about then? Why are you in a promotion conversation to try to figure out how much you're going to get and you don't even have a number of what you're going to get? And you're always going to walk away disappointed. You have no idea going into this conversation what you want. Are you kidding me? So that's how I talk to people when they get on my phone. I don't apologize for that. I was a military officer. So Craig, is there a best time to ask for the question? And typically this is the advice I give people. What are the three things, if you're going in to ask for more money, what are the three things that you've done, the three bad ASS things that you've done in that 6 months or that year that you want to be recognized for? How did you make this company more money? How did you save time? Or how did you save resources? So it's, hey, you know what? The numbers just came out. I'm in the top 1%. I brought in $10 million worth of revenue and I've saved, I created a system that ended up saving us 30,000 man hours. I would like to get $30,000 added to my base salary. Look at my face.
Straight.
Dead serious.
No flinching.
Yep. I love the impact.
Yeah.
Like results and impact.
Yeah. You're not walking in and say, I perform well. What are you going to give me? You're never going to get anything. Never. Like, well, what did you do? I showed up to work every day. The one lady told me, I got 30 years experience. I said, so what? What are you talking about? I mean, who cares if you're a 30-year wet blanket who can't even talk about who you are? You sitting at your desk with a pulse. In these streets, ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear. Organizations want people with passion. Y'all see how loud I am?
You talk about it every podcast.
Passion.
Every single one.
Not a pulse. People walk around with a pulse. Give me a job. Nope. Because you don't have any passion. Nobody wants somebody sitting at a desk collecting a check. Those days are gone. So to get clear on what Chris and I talked about earlier, get clear of your superpower, because when you figure out what your superpower is, you will go in there talking loud just like this, and everybody want to be drawn to that. They'll be like, oh my God, this lady is on fire. People will pay you for your passion because you know which problem you solve. You know you have 20 years experience, but out of that 20 years is one thing that I did very, very well in all the 10 jobs that I have, and that's what I can do for you. And people, and you already know, Renee, people be like, how do I sign this person up right now? Let's get this, let's get this done quick.
That's it. That's what they do. Oh my God.
We're running late on time, but that one question that you wrote down early and that everyone has on their mind, the person who brings up the money first. Let's talk about that, because you were very excited to talk about that.
Yeah, yes. Bruce is funny. He said, don't let Chris have Red Bull. I had a little bit of coffee this morning. I only had one. I'm either high on chocolate or coffee.
He said, don't let Christy have Red Bull. You will all explode. Oh my God.
So the thing about the money conversation is this. A lot of times, so last night, so I do group coaching, and I had my call last night, and one of my women, we laughed for like 5 minutes. She was getting offered with another company, and she's like on fire now. Used to be an introvert, didn't necessarily talk that much, and was always being overlooked. Now we're about to double her salary. And so she said an organization called her, and so they were like, hey, let me tell you what I need. She said, no, let me tell you what I need.
Boom.
And they were like, okay. She said $450. Right? And they were like this. Okay, well, we're going to see what we can do. She said, I sent my resume in, and we're waiting for that call today. So it depends, Bruce. You don't have to be so upfront, but it's not. In negotiations, is there a dance that you need to do? I've heard that sometimes the person who mentions the money number first loses. But you can also lose by letting them set the tone. So if you're thinking 425 and they're thinking 200, that gap is so big. But if you say 425, and this is what I tell everybody, so y'all listen up. Got my microphone right here. Let me tell y'all how to do it. You say 425 total comp. So if you throw total comp, I just gave y'all that for free. If you say total comp, how you get to the total comp can be different. You could do 225 base. You could do a $60,000 bonus. You could do some equity in there. But if you ask for the total comp number, it's not so overwhelming. Don't start with the base. Start with the total comp. So the larger number is total comp. And you give them room to be able to work on how they're going to make that work for you. And companies are very, very creative these days where they'll be like, okay, well, if you want 425 total comp, we could do 325 base. We could do a $50,000 bonus. We could do this, but instead of, we can't meet you at the extra 25. So we'll let you work from home indefinitely.
Right.
Okay. Does that make sense?
A sign-on bonus or something like if they can't bring it. Yep.
No, you always got the sign-on bonus is not in the total comp, Renee. That's
true. That's true.
Let's be clear.
Extra.
But I want that too.
That's the cherry on top.
But that's the second conversation. But so people are so nervous about even asking. If you give the larger number, now let's date, let's court, take me out, take me to the Waffle House, and then take me to Ruth Chris, and then take me to get some ice cream. So now we're going to have this conversation on how we're going to get to the total comp. Is not just 225 base. It's 425. She said 450. That's what we screamed when she said that. And the guy was like, okay. So don't even come. She already knows her value. Like when you know your value and you understand it and you anchor in it, you are so and you're not even playing with it. Does that make sense? So This is the difference, y'all. When you go in timid, okay, well, I would love to have a conversation with you. Well, what do you think that my value is? What's the range that y'all are looking for? What exactly are you looking for? I think that I can do that for you. She said, no, let me tell you what I want, 450. And the guy was like, okay, let's go see how we can make that happen for you. We're not even playing over here. We're a little special, but it works.
I love it. I totally love it. You're on fire.
So more comments here, Christy, because I mean, the folks are just like you. First and foremost, you have to come back. I knew this was going to happen. Right. I told you, I predicted this was you were going to be a regular. You have to come back if you have availability. But the people in here are just, there's so many comments. I love Christy, spitting fire. This woman is spitting. Love the motivation and the energy. Representing USCG. Love it. Mm-hmm. Christy's advice is crazy in a good way. And to be honest, most men need her advice as well. That's why she's here.
I talk to men too. I talk to men.
Yep. Christy has male clients. Mm-hmm. Timothy said, I met a lot of recruiters that push this negative mentality. I've been told by a few recruiters that, quote unquote, well, just take this lower pay because there's room to grow. Don't ask for a higher.
That's a lie. Yep, that's a lie. Hire that recruiter. I would say this. This is what's happening to Timothy. He's not asking for the right job. Timothy, you need to go 2 levels up above where you are right now. The problem is you're not asking at the right level, which is why it's offensive to you. Go 2 levels up from where you are, not the next level, but 2 levels up, and then you won't be having these conversations about that. Only people when you're swimming in the small pond, when you should be in the ocean at the Bahamas, you're gonna be telling people, oh, don't get bit by the alligator. Just go over here. It's like, no, you're not even in the right realm. You should be applying for 2 jobs above where you are right now. If you're offended, if your inner king or your inner queen is offended when people say stuff, it's because you're not in the right ballpark.
Got it. Charles is in the UK. He says, I need to listen to this daily. Mahfouz, where has Christy been all my life? She is exuding pure, raw energy.
I'm a straight chaser.
Making me a believer right now. Well done, guys. Thanks, Diane. Oh, Diane's here. My girlfriend in my head. She's like, you're the girlfriend in her head. Loving the point about mentors almost being mad where you're not functioning at your potential. Mm-hmm. So the mentor is being pissed at you, which I get some of that too, where they're like, what is wrong with I am going to Awa says, I'm a career changer going into cyber. I feel like a major imposter and have no idea how to overcome. Is a career coach worth the investment?
We doubling incomes over here in these streets. Yes.
Point blank, period.
Yeah. Point blank. $1.7 million since June 2020. It's working. It's working.
Right. Professional.
Let's talk about the imposter syndrome right quick.
Yep.
And y'all can get my free case study at changenowwithchristy.com. Changenowwithchristy.com. You can join my email list and get my free case study. Okay.
I'll put it in the chat.
So this is the challenge with women in the imposter syndrome. And I say this because there are a million articles that always talk about men. Women can spend all day bashing men, but I'm like, how are you looking at yourself right now? This is crazy. So a man will ask, a woman will have to wait until she checks 20 boxes on that list. If a job has 20 boxes, a woman wants to check all 20 and still don't believe that she deserves it. Right? A man will see one and be like, I kind of got that. I kind of got it. I'm going to apply. And then the women are mad, right, Chris? The women are mad that they didn't even ask. So the difference between the men and the women in the imposter syndrome is men have asked. But this is, okay, I'm moving this about. This is where they truly are. They've out-asked their growth. So the imposter syndrome is, I'm all the way up here in position, but my growth internally and how I see myself is here. So the gap, the challenge with women is women haven't asked work, promotion. Work, degree, don't ask. But the women believe that they're right here. So the women are believing the wrong lie. You're actually here, but you believe that you're here.
Wow.
So the imposter syndrome is that you just have not owned your greatness. Your awards are in a box. Your degrees are in a box. Everything that makes you great is in a box and you won't even own it. So you're believing the wrong lie. You're lying to yourself. That's the lie. The imposter syndrome is not you're lying to other people. You're lying to yourself because you're greater than who you think you are.
You are bringing it. And I know we have to run. My girlfriend Dimel says, I work in medical device sales and I am glued to the screen. Roman says, never let up on passion. Ask for what you want. Ewa says, looking for more of Christy. Christy, I told you, please come back. She's keeping it real. This is straight fire. What is her ad? So I put her ad in there. This lady says, words to listen over and over. That's Carmen. I mean, there's so many. Clinton says, definitely get Christy back. Fire, 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 fire. Christy. Self-confidence and knowing your worth is key, and be militant about it. Some people are too shy about asking for the salary they are worth. So Christy, I am going to end with, the final one. Thanks for that. What would you say to someone who wants to change careers in cyber with no work experience? I'm seeing is less salaries, less than half of what I make now. So I get nervous making this move. I'm making the move to get back to my family who I'm away from 10 months out of the year right now.
So the thing about it is it's all back to the superpower that we talked about earlier. And if y'all inbox me on LinkedIn and ask me for the superpower series, I'll send it to you. So it's all about figuring out what your superpower is. Timothy, you look a little seasoned with your beard. You're not new. You're not starting over. You need to be able to say, I can come into your organization and I can do this one thing. So there's something that you've done throughout the whole time in your career is one specific thing that makes you great. You lead with that. You haven't started over. A lot of times we're taught to think that, you're starting over. No, you're not starting over. I'm great. How? Let me tell you what I could do. And this is how it fits into your organization. So it's not your change of careers into cyber with no working experience in cyber. You have work experience. You just have to be able to translate that one thing that you can do well into their organization and how you're going to solve their problems. People want people who solve their problems. People who want organizations want people who are passionate, not just who have a pulse. And if you have a pleasing personality and you're passionate, you can train for skill. You can't train for an a-hole. An a-hole is an a-hole. And people want people with pleasant personalities and not, you have a pleasant personality, but you don't have the skill in particular. They will bring you in and they will train you up. But if you're a freaking a-hole and you're arrogant, but you have all the skill, nobody wants to be around that. Companies want people who fit into their culture, period.
So Christy, I know it's coming up on noon and you have to go. So we want to make sure that we have the right website. I know you'll be back. But we did change now with Christy.com, but I wrote it wrong or something. So can they go to Christy Rutherford?
Yeah, ChristyRutherford.com. I have a free webinar. It's on ChristyRutherford.com, but change now with Christy.com is my free webinar. And I'm on Instagram at Christy.Rutherford. Y'all can connect with me on LinkedIn at just Christy Rutherford. I'm somewhere around here.
Yeah, I'll make sure they connect with you. Anybody, you know what to do. Reach out to me if you need to connect with Christy. I'm going to tag her in this post. You'll see it out there, all that good stuff. Christy,
wait, before we end, Ewa, stop getting all these degrees. None of my women when they get raises, let's be clear. They get raises in 2 months. They didn't get another degree. You got women who got degrees out here making $75,000 a year. But you have women who have one master's or one bachelor's degree who's about to make $450 because they're talking about their experience. Stop getting all these degrees, and you don't even have a plan for the degree. Amen and hallelujah.
Amen.
You are the pastor, the preacher, the choir. You are everybody. It's like sometimes I'm hearing you. It's like I'm talking to myself. Like stop. Experience trumps everything. Do I not say this every single week, folks?
Blowing all this money on degrees, and women don't even have a plan for the degree. You think that when you get this degree, people are going to call you. No, they're not. It is not going to open up a magic door. It is not going to give you a special gold star. It's not going to make people look at you. You know what happens when to make somebody look at you? Passion. See how loud I'm talking right now? People are like, oh my God, people want people who are passionate about what they do in their organization. You don't need another degree. You just need to know who you are, what your superpower is, and then what you're passionate about. And people will be like, how much you want, girl? How much you want, man? How much you want? Just let's do this now. It's like closing a house. Let's close this house in 2 days before somebody else come over here and snatch you.
Reverend Christy, You have been you have been given a new title. They said Pastor Christy preach. So Reverend Christy, Pastor Reverend Dr. Christy. Oh my gosh, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being here. We have got to get you back. You left all your contact info. People reach out to her, reach out to me, and we will make sure that you are back again sometime soon. All right.
All right. Bye, y'all.
So much for being here. Bye, everybody. See you guys next week. Oh, subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes, subscribe now. Podcast, YouTube, find it everywhere.
All right. Bye.